Welcome to Rascal Apiary, and we got a request to build a swarm bucket from the Geek and the Goddess. Now what these things do is they give you an extra 13 feet of lift, which means if you got swarms in the trees and you don't have a ladder, you don't have a bucket, a truck to lift you up real high, that's like what the electricians use to get up to the top of the phone poles, you could have your extra 13 feet right here. This thing, you can attach a paint pole to it. It's got ventilation. It's got a bee escape, which is backwards, so the bees go in, they don't come out. They're getting hit with swarms, and I'm probably guessing you are too. So let's go over to the workshop, and we'll build one of these. Welcome to Rascal Apiary's workshop here, and we're going to talk about building a swarm bucket. Items you're going to need is a 5-gallon bucket with a snap-on lid. You're going to need number 8 hardware cloth. You'll need a drill. You'll need caulking. We used Dynaflex 230 almond. It's left over from our backsplash in our kitchen. You'll need a bee escape. You'll need 25 rivets. They are 1/8 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch. You'll need a drill bit for that, and that is 1/8 of an inch drill bit. You'll need a riveter. You'll need a masonry brush with no bristles in it, so you'll take out the bristles. You're going to need a 11 by 64 inch drill bit, a 9mm bolt. It's 1.5 inches long. You'll need 2 of those. You're going to need a 9mm wrench. You'll need a 2 3/4 hole saw. You'll need a 3/4 inch hole saw. And then you're going to need an electrical cover. We got the round one, and it came with a gasket. I still use the gasket with it. And that's what we're going to need, so let's get started. Okay, so step 1 is we want to draw a rough area of where we are going to cut our hole in the side of the 5-gallon bucket. And what this is going to serve as is a ventilation hole for the bees. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 3/4 hole saw, and we're going to stick it there and drill a hole. Please be careful with this. If you stick it in between your legs and try and drill the hole, you may catch your leg. Have somebody else hold it in place so that you can drill a hole. Seems like common sense, but if you're a beginner beekeeper and you've never drilled a hole in a bucket before, I completely understand. I've seen my dad do it. I've done it. It's not fun. So have somebody else hold it. Put your hole saw on here. Drill it right in there. All right, and when we cut to, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is what the hole will look like. Nice easy hole if somebody holds it for you. If not, yours might be a little choppy. That's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to use our number 8 hardware cloth and something to cut it with. And we're going to cut out a nice big square. This is about 5 inches by 6 inches. Okay, so cut out a piece that's 5 inches by 6 inches. And then what you're going to do is take 17 of your rivets, and you're going to drill holes through your hardware cloth into your bucket. And you're using your 1/8 inch drill bit to do that. So drill until you are satisfied that it's going to hold on there. And then you need to put in your rivets, okay? It's fine. The way the riveter works is you take your 1/8 by 1/4 rivet, and there's a long stem on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to insert it into the riveting tool like so that the long stem is inside. You're going to pop it into the hole that you drilled, and you're going to squeeze your riveting tool until the stem snaps off. Now what that does is it tries to pull in this bulbous end, and it makes the cavity here swell so that it stays in the hole that you drilled. Okay? Once it snaps off, dump the stem out of there and proceed to the next one and keep going. So for your lid, it's the same idea. What you're going to do is drill your hole 2 by 3/4 inch. Now, on the edge is okay. However, what we learned is that the texture of the lid makes it very difficult to caulk the edges. So if you wanted to move it to the middle, that's perfectly okay. We did the 2 sides so that we go, okay, if the bees are over here, they're coming in, and if they're over here, they're just smelling all the other bees inside. But more towards the middle is a little more practical, so you're not messing around with the texture on the lid. But go ahead and drill your hole, cut out your hardware mesh and hardware cloth, and then you're going to drill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes, and then you're going to pop in all 7 rivets. Now that you have your mesh here, or your hardware cloth here, and your hardware cloth here, you have 2 vents in your 5-gallon bucket. That's pretty good. If you wanted to put a second one on the 5-gallon bucket because you like to catch large swarms, then go ahead and do it. Do it on the opposite side. Same steps. Last step you're going to do for these is you're going to take your caulking and you're going to caulk around the edge here. It's not really to hold down the hardware cloth, it's to protect your skin or your car or wherever you end up putting the bucket to make sure you don't get scratches. And then once you're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. Next step on the lid, we're going to go ahead and finish that bad boy up. You're going to take your 3/4 inch hole saw and you're going to drill your hole right in there. Once you're done doing that, make sure you fit your bee escape. Make sure it fits nice and snug. The lips on the bee escape should not be touching anywhere close to the hole that you just drilled. They should be at least 1/8 of an inch plus away from the hole. Then you're going to hold it in place, take your 1/8 inch drill bit, drill in the 2 spots where the rivets are. If you're worried about the other 2 edges, you can do those as well, but after a while we've learned the 2 is fine. You don't need to do more than that. But if it makes you more comfortable, do the other 2. You bought a riveting kit with 1,000 pieces, go ahead, use them all. Once you do that, then you just put your rivets in, pump them in there, and your lid is done. You can set that aside. Okay, now that we got the mason bristles taken out, the next step is take your electrical panel cover, place it over the holes on your mason brush, because you now have holes because you took the bristles out. But you want to also flip it over and make sure the holes on the electrical panel don't line up with the actual handle of the mason brush. So if I turn it this way, you can see that the electrical panel holes line up with the holes on the mason brush. Boom, boom. But do not interfere with this large piece of plastic. Then what you're going to do is take your 11 by 64th inch drill bit and you're going to go ahead and drill holes all the way through. Okay? And that is what's going to make these holes here, here, and here. And what you're doing is you're setting yourself up to attach this to the bottom of your bucket. We've gone ahead and attached our mason brush to the bottom of the bucket. Now how did we do that? We already drilled our holes, right? And then we went ahead and lined it up on the bottom of the bucket here without the electrical panel cover. And because we had pre-drilled holes already, we went ahead and drilled holes all the way through the bucket. All right. Once that's done, then you can stick the electrical panel cover on the inside with the gasket, stick your 9mm bolts through, and then go ahead and attach it. Now you have the ability to attach a paint pole to the bottom of this, and as you're branches or whatever you're hitting to get the bees down, you're not busting your mason brush through the bucket, because now you have the kinetic energy spread out through the bottom of the bucket. So you're not putting a hole in the bottom of your bucket and then bees are pouring out. And that's it. All you got to do is put it together, build one yourself, let us know how it goes. If you were successful, go ahead and leave a comment or hit us on our community page. Also, if you noticed, I didn't cover the feet. I got these off of a DeWalt table saw because I had another stand for it. The feet are just for when I put the bucket down on unstable ground. If it wants to lean one way or the other, it can do that, and it's not going to fall over and disturb the bees. But as I said, once you capture the bees and you put the lid on, you need to lay it on its side so that the vent's non-obstructed and the other vent's non-obstructed, and the bees can still get into the bee escape. The reason I have feet is basically if they're all in there and I just need to prop it up. Thanks to Geek and the Goddess for requesting this video. It was really fun putting it together. Once you make your swarm bucket, leave us a comment or hit us up on our community page with a picture. We'd love to see what it looks like, and that's for everybody. And when you catch a swarm with it, send us a picture on that too. Let us know what that looks like. We do care. We love looking at pictures. And remember, like, subscribe, leave a comment. See you next time.